welcome back to Linux Weekly Daily Wednesdays, where we take a break from the direct upfront assault of just all gaming news and kind of cover some of the stuff that makes Linux tick. And also play games. So it's kind of awesome. I'm Ben Stone.
I am Pedro Mateos.
And I am Matthew Commando.
The man who eventually looks at the camera. It's kind of brilliant. So let's just dive right into this, since, you know, we're not talking about just games. I think we should start. Oh, yeah.
Games.
Games. So
But you seem to have forgotten that particular
it's
tab.
brilliant. So somebody cover for me.
Doing it live.
So we're going to start
here it
with
is.
some
Strider,
games,
go
because
on.
welcome to Linux Gamecast Weekly. So Indie Bundle is again releasing a Humble Hindi bundle. So what is special with these bundles? It's the original one, the one that are DRM free, the one that are all cross-platform. So you're guaranteed to have all the
Except
games
for that
on
one that
Linux.
included Gianna Sisters.
Yes, we're still waiting on that port.
Yeah.
Maybe eventually that will come. Let's hope for it. So yeah, we got a neat selection of games here. I mean, we got Lethal League, The Beginner's Guide, Galaxy, I don't know what that is, Nuclear Throne, which you need to pay $10 or more to get. If you pay more than the average, you get Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time. You get Octodad, Dadlia's Catch, and Super Time Force Ultra. And next week, like next Tuesday, you will get some more games. Usually there are 3 or 4 more games added on each bundle.
No, Humble has a very sophisticated algorithm for determining what games unlock. They check like my 7 pages of unclaimed keys and see what I have the most duplicates of, and give me another copy of that.
Yeah, because they usually include the games that were in the basic tier for the previous bundle, for those people who didn't get the previous bundle. But most people, like us, that have been following the Humble Indie bundle since number 1 or number 2, yeah, you just get duplicate keys.
Yeah, I'm quite happy with this one because I didn't own any of the game that's in this bundle, so that's cool.
Yeah, what we're saying is this is a bit of a public service announcement. If you like the games and stuff, you still have 12 days, 22 hours, 34 minutes, and 18 seconds left. For me, basically, I had everything. Galaxy, I tried it, and I was like, oof, I really only bought this bundle for Super Time Force Ultra Turbo 9000. But one of the reasons we want to bring this up, because we have our Pac-Man chart. Probably
Yes, we do.
Gamification within the gamification for the Humbly Bundles. And Linux is really only 63 cents over Mac right now, as far as your average purchase price.
But hey, let's compare that to one of those other regular bundles where not all of the games include Linux and sometimes none of the games include Linux. And the Linux is a teeny tiny fraction with a lower average than Mac. I wonder why.
The main reason I want to bring this chart up is because this, unlike Steam hardware surveys, those moon surveys that I've received 2 of, once when I had 1 running in Steam, this, you want a true, honest survey. This is it right here. When somebody can pay, whatever, like 5 pence and get this, you're going to find out what they're running when they're running that. They're not going to be like, I'm running the Linux all the time and boot over to Windows. That's how many Linux users are out there, and I think that's far more representative. Because, you know...
Oh, yeah, that's more than, like, the 0.89% on Steam right now.
What do you think, Strider? Is there any common sense to what I just said, or I'm just talking crazy?
No, I mean, if you bring Linux games, people will buy them. I mean, it's as simple as that. And I assume that there are way... fewer Linux users than Mac, and still, I mean, it's almost as much money involved. So yeah, I mean, the Linux people are much more motivated to go and buy stuff.
Okay, well, let's get on our favorite whipping boy.
Speaking of Linux, let's talk about Microsoft.
Clearly, right. Microsoft has accidentally made a lot of Linux users happy. They leak the golden keys that unlock every Windows device, maybe even the Xphone. That would be interesting. But now let's just get this verbatim. Microsoft accidentally leaked the golden keys to the Windows Kingdom. The keys allow hackers to unlock every Windows device, including tablets, phones, and other devices. I like how they threw phones in there, like that's still a thing. Protected by secure boot. Yeah, and they also believe that this could possibly be nigh impossible for Microsoft to get this back. But my favorite thing from this little bit of an article was the, see if I get this right, because this is just spot on. The leaks serves as a reminder that of the potential dangers in security when tech firms are pressured by governments and law enforcement to make special keys. Real world example. Here we go. Hashtag this, right?
It's like the whole Apple versus the FBI thing. It's like, oh, you need to create a backport so we can access this person's iPhone. Yeah, Apple was kind of right on that one on not wanting to do that, because this is exactly what you can expect when it comes to backdoors. Because Microsoft did end up leaking the entire lineup of keys that would allow people access to the secure boot, which is apparently not so secure anymore, because just about everyone and their cat has been able to unlock, say, a Surface RT tablet.
I don't know, Strider, are you running out to buy a new Surface Pro 4 and like all the RTs off eBay?
No, I'm not going to buy any of these devices, but this is still one of the best news that has happened this year. And because this decision to enforce like secure boot and this kind of security measures, actually it's not that, it doesn't bring that much security on the devices. I mean, there were no real problems before secure boot.
Are you trying to tell me Microsoft doesn't have our best interest in heart with the UEFI and locking the bootloader down? I mean, that's not a security thing for us?
Well, it's a security thing for Microsoft, that's for sure. It means that, okay, you get Windows on this device and you keep Windows. You don't get to mess with it. I mean, Windows stays here. And not anymore. So next time Microsoft comes up with something like this, maybe the hardware vendors, they will think twice before implementing this sort of this thing. Well, actually, with this vulnerability, it's more like the Microsoft devices that are affected, because a lot of the other vendors like Asus or, MSI, they would allow you to disable the secure boots.
Yeah, they already do. If you say you buy, even a laptop, which nowadays comes pretty locked down when it comes to secure boot, you could still access UEFI and disable secure boot. But the biggest thing here is that, well, secure boot is not as secure as Microsoft would like it to be.
Not as secure as yoinking some GPL code, right?
Well, there was a bit of a snafu this week. A little bit of a development. This has actually been going on for a while. Christoph Hellwig sued VMware, or attempted to sue VMware, over some GPL code that he wrote, which they implemented. Jordan actually put this in the notes for the SCSI subsystem
You can't read Jordan's notes unless you have on your hockey sticks and maple syrup.
Yeah, I need some maple syrup real bad. I have the hockey stick, but I need the maple syrup. Someone please get it to me. But yeah, the ESXi kernel in VMware basically copied the GPL code for the SCSI subsystem. So the guy who wrote it, Christopher Hellwig, decided to sue VMware. Now, in Germany, where the suit was taking place, the courts have decided that there was not a breach of the GPL license. And this is bad in a way because, okay, so what does GPL mean, after all, if you can't really claim ownership of something that is then used in a commercial product? What's the point? But this is not as bad a thing because the German legal system doesn't exactly work the same way that the US legal system does. The US legal system, for all I know of it, what I've read on the internet, and that's been a lot actually, the US legal system relies a lot on precedents, legal precedents, like the way a certain case ended up that one time, that's relevant. In Germany, that's not the case, and one of the things that the article on IT Wire mentions is that this was not based on previous precedents, nor will it set a legal precedent. So that's not too bad?
It's not too bad. VMware, naturally, they win in, but I mean, this dude definitely has the backing of the Software Freedom Conservancy, and, you know, it's pretty cool. But, yeah, VMware totally went in and was like, we're just going to lawyer up and we're going to drive this little guy into the ground, and it didn't happen.
They did.
They lost kind of, they didn't really lose on this. It was just one small part of the case, and this was about the code included with the BusyBox, and, you know, there was that other company. It's also in the article. All this will be in the notes about exactly everything that went down with that nightmare fuel. But
yeah, I wanted, would have liked from VMware some kind of official statements. I was interested in what they had to say about this, is whether they would say, oh no, we didn't take anything. We wrote our code. It's not stolen. And or maybe it's something more like, yeah, we did take that code. What are you going to do about it?
They wouldn't say that.
Well, I want, you know, has the GPL like really, really genuinely been tested in court? Because the other case that's brought up in the article, that was settled outside of court. So
yeah, and the thing here is one of the points that led to the specific ruling in favor of VMware was the fact that Christoph Hellwig was not able to provide code samples to say specifically which bits VMware had taken from his GPL licensed code.
Well, you're acting like they didn't let him see the code in question.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, it's code. It's text. You could just show it.
I don't know. I don't know exactly how all this is working. I just thought it was an interesting story. Give us some feedback on it. Tell us what we're wrong about.
Yeah, if you happen to know more about it, let us know.
That's definitely one thing that we want to make very clear. We are not experts, and we will say when we're not, and this is one thing we're not. And if you are, enlighten us. But are you terrified, petrified, stupefied?
Oh, completely stupefied by you. But Linux bug leaves USA Today and other top sites vulnerable to serious hijacking attacks. Now, this is kind of a big issue, but it's already been fixed in the 4.7 kernel.
So just by the screenshot here for your audio listeners, I thought it was because they were running Unity, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, keep the 4.7. It's already fixed in kernel 4.7 in the back of your mind because it's going to be important. Yeah, so there was a bug that would allow someone to say who was using a long-lived connection to a website, like a news website, where you usually spend a lot of time reading an article or maybe 2 or 3, what have you, like USA Today. If you go there and you were there for, say, 60 seconds, it would be enough time for someone to hijack the connection that you have with the website or the server, and even without any sort of man-in-the-middle interposer, you could still feed malicious connections back to the user, or even the server itself. Who knows? But all this vulnerability comes with, it was implemented in the Linux kernel 3.6, and it was from RFC 5961, which is a relatively new, according to Ars Technica, a relatively new internet standard that's intended to prevent certain classes of hacking attacks. But it has an exploit.
Has not been implemented yet by Windows and Mac. I just thought, I laughed. Wow, Linux got...
It's like, Linux being on the vanguard is more vulnerable than... Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sorry about that, Arch users. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it seems a very serious vulnerability, but there is a very specific setup you need to have in order to have an actual attack using this. Yeah. So, I mean, it's not as serious as they would like you to believe it is.
The thing here that you really need to keep in mind is, if you say run HTTPS everywhere, Like, you get an SSL connection to just about every website you visit, and that should keep you relatively safe. And you should already be doing that. And the biggest thing here is not so much how it affects desktop Linux, because as much as we like to use Linux on the desktop, it's Android devices that are the issue, because Android is currently using kernel 4.4, if I'm not mistaken. No, it's 4.2 right now. But every single version since Android 4.4, which was the one that implemented kernel version 3.6, is vulnerable. So that's an issue, because not everyone upgrades their Android implementation.
So what you're saying is we should all immediately take all of our Android devices, take them outside, and Jimi Hendrix them, and just...
Yeah, and I bet that a bunch of these devices, these Android devices, are not supported anymore, so they won't receive the patches.
I like how you're pretending that stops people from using them, because it doesn't.
And Android 6.0.1 is still vulnerable because it hasn't been updated yet. Google's still working on that.
Do you got any final thoughts?
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm waiting for something to come up, like where people would actually be attacked, because this is something that comes from security researchers, not from black hat hackers. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I don't think people are at risk right now.
Oh man, but I wanted to be like cable news networks and like just do horror scare stories to get people frightened. Man, you just
that's what journalists do. I mean, we should do that as well, I think.
Let's talk about other Chrome, also known as Vivaldi 1.3, to be used with custom themes, enhanced privacy, and much more. Oslo, Norway. Oh, hello. Continuing its path to provide the most personal feature-packed browser, Vivaldi today released version 1.3. Custom themes, add a new dimension to personalization, protection for WebRTC. We need to try that for WebRTC, see how that works. Didn't they have some extra Linux customizations in here? Yeah, for Linux users. We made some platform-specific improvements with the first release. First, we made tab hibernation better for you. I don't even know what that is, but it sounds awesome. And don't hog the system resource. I thought it said hot dog system resources. I almost laughed. To hibernate a tab, simply right-click on it. We also... Okay, so I guess that kind of nopes your tab out just a little bit. But we were talking before the show. What is Vivaldi? It's another web browser based on...
Chromium.
Chromium, thank you. I was going to say WebKit. And I was like, that's not right.
It's Blink
I gave it a spin today. You know, I installed it, and I did the previous version. Pedro just said something that had me laughing about what it looks like aesthetically.
Yeah, it looks like an Electron app, which for a browser, it's Inception levels of stupid.
Yeah, but it is not an Electron app, and I finally installed it as well. And yeah, it's kind of neat. I mean, I kind of like it. I mean, I don't really get the whole targeted at power user thing they try to put out here. But yeah, you can
power
customize...
user, they mean take up all the system resources. Yes, gotcha.
Yeah, that must be it. Yeah, you can customize a bunch of things. I mean, I like the option screens. There's a lot of stuff going on here. But is that what being a power user is now? I mean, it's not really that. I don't think so.
Power user is just having a powerful PC. That's where the power comes from, I assume.
Yeah, maybe. One thing I noticed is that the shortcuts, control, page up, and page down, they're not mapped. I mean, is that not a power user enough, or is that something of the past? I mean, I had to map them manually, and I use them all the time for switching tabs. So weird.
I just use Control Tab and Control Shift Tab, but okay.
Yeah, that's just same thing.
You know, the default.
I like the fact that you move the Windows controls. That's something that annoyed me in Chrome. I usually like to have my window controls to the left, and I could do that with Vivaldi. So that's something cool. Not sure if I will keep using it. I mean, I have to give it some more time, but the lack of Chrome sync or Firefox sync.
Yeah, that what you said
that
right
will
there
put me off.
because I'm sorry. I was like, but my privacy. So I was like, I've already sold to the Googs, man. Just long ago, way in the long ago, I gave everything to the Googs. I don't care. Get creepy on me. But yeah, that feature alone is like, well, that seems like I cannot live without this feature. As soon as you get a new device, you just log into your account. It's like, boom, all your bookmarks and everything's there, and it's kind of brilliant. Playing around with it. It runs fine. I aesthetically, I was saying it's a bit on the fugly side. Performance.
You got themes now.
Yay! Whoa! Welcome to 2002 when Vin was playing with Qt themes to try to make it look like a Mac for whatever reason. Here's the thing, though. Bonus soda, because it now works with the extensions. You can just go right to the Chrome store. You can, get things that. Wow, that would be a naughty word if I rhymed ad block with that. I didn't want to say ad block, but let's just be. You'd install that script block, stuff like that, whatever you want. Because, way back in the day, you had to like, oh, let's go to the FTP server or wherever, actually download this, put it on your desktop, do this. But that worked. It's good. It was a bit jarring, nay, horrifying, having to look at the actual web. I just loaded a few pages with, just vanilla web browser, which I had not seen in a while. I understand why people block all the ads on all the things. Now, Pedro and I have different ways. I basically whitelist everything until you give me a popover, then you get script blocked. Or you have like auto.
I do the other way. Yeah, everything's blacklisted until I whitelist it.
But I like it. Except for the default search engines being, nobody in their right mind says, hey, what should our the best one in the world, Bing. And I was like, why are you saying that? Because Microsoft's giving us money. That's basically how that has to go.
Yep.
Didn't like that. And this is kind of fun. Performance-wise, it does show you how many megabytes each page takes to load, which when you load Google Plus, 20 megs. I was like, woof. But then I'm also thinking, isn't this supposed to be about performance? How many cycles are being wasted to do those numbers up there? Yeah, that's all I got to say. Anybody else got anything?
No, I think we can actually move on.
Okay. Steam on FreeBSD. Yeah, you thought you were safe,
Nothing is sacred.
No, you did it for yourself. You were thinking, okay, I got to be at work. I got to be productive. I can't have Steam open. I can't be tempted to play games because no one's watching me and I could play games all day. So you switch to BSD and you're like, okay, can't really play games on the, too bad. So this is at GitHub, Steam on FreeBSD if you want to run over there right now. Version 11.0. You do need the recent NVIDIA driver with Linux compatibility support. Or if you have an AMD graphics card, just curl into a ball and cry. Let's just be honest. Yeah, it does what it says on the tin. I mean, they have it running Counter-Strike Go right here. I mean, it is up and it's going. Now, on the flip side, if you're an employer that has switched all of your employees to BSD because, those sneaky Linux users like to play their games. Ha ha.
Well, get ready to download those Haiku ISOs, people. It's the only functional way to remain productive.
Yeah, but except that on Haiku, you do not really have any software to be productive with, so I don't know. One thing
you have a text editor, that's basically all you need, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know.
One thing is for sure is that
I'm pretty sure Netscape like 4.0 or Communicator still has a Haiku.
Yeah.
I just for my own fascination, I want to throw Google Docs at that.
They have a different browser that I actually tried it on a virtual machine not too long ago. They have a browser that supports HTML5, so that's not completely unfeasible.
So, yeah, I mean, if you're in charge of a NAS or your web server or anything like that, running the BSDs, man, game on. That's definitely a thing. But
Steam streaming.
Hey, man, we just want to take a brief second to thank everyone making this possible, where we don't have to do ad reads and they're like, hey, talk good about our product. You're like, oh, you've been infected by the ad people. But the people that are keeping us from doing that are awesome Patreons. Patreon.com/Linux Gamecast. 92 Patreons doing 162 per Saturday night train wreck. That sounds weird. Well, if you're new to this, we do a show on Saturday. This is our big show. This show was actually brought to you by Patreons because they're like, hey, do a show on Wednesday, monkeys. We're like, okay. But we do enjoy doing it. We have Jason D kicked in this week at a show note level access. If you look up here on the right, we got some goals that we're coming up to, you know, not too far away from a regular 2-day-a-week streaming thing. We got some rewards for show notes. Let's see, what else do we have? We got some plugs you can get back in if you like Chicago, because he came up with that.
But most importantly, you also get access to those 80-something Patreon-only posts that we have right now.
You mean we give people, 85? Wow, we actually do give people back stuff.
A lot of stuff. You're not just giving us money so we can keep, you know, coming here and dancing like the monkeys we are on camera. You get some value out of it.
All right, seems legit. Replicant. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so what is Replicant? It's a totally free software version of Android without all the proprietary bits. So you have to be warned. Everything does not work out of the box. You will have issues with like maybe Wi-Fi or GPU acceleration, but this is all free
kind of a big problem on Android.
Yeah, a little bit.
It is a big problem, but you can have a semi-working device using only free software. So if you're worried about these sort of things, then yeah, you maybe want to give Replicants a look.
There's something I want to ask you, though. I mean, if you're that gosh darn heck bent on running something that's effectively, you know, Android minus the useful bits, you know, like the kneecap version of CyanogenMod, basically.
That already exists, though? It's called the Android Open Source Project?
AOSP, man. But, well, no, the AOSP is different. Wi-Fi works.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
If you have an open, I'm not picking on this project. I know if you're coming, listen, you're a buddy at Striders. I'm just saying what's on my brain organ. But this is not really about this project. But I mean, if you're that, you really got to run all the open. Why don't you just take the Full Metal Stallman? I mean, that's like only using one of his katanas and like half of his beard because you still got closed source Moon hardware that you don't know what's on. So what's the real benefit here?
Yeah, that's the thing. If the hardware requires binary blobs, it will not be supported. I mean, it will not work. That's why there is no GPU acceleration. And one thing in this new release, so this new release is updating to Android 6, so Marshmallow. They brought in a couple of new features such as Mesa, but yeah, Jordan pointed out that it was
if you're going to do
CPU
Jordan,
bound.
you have to do it in a Canadian accent. Come on.
So yeah, it was CPU bound Mesa. It's not relying on the GPU, so it won't work just as good.
So this is 6.0, yet it's still early work. So what was the F-Droid issue?
The F-Droid issue was that some of the, while most of the, all of the software in F-Droid is free and open source, full Stallman approved, some of them have dependencies on non-free blobs, or some of them pull down, they require a certain application, not exactly as a dependency, but they need a bit of an API that's part of an application that's not free and open source. So that's the F-Droid issue, and there was no clear way to identify those apps so that they would not be available to people just using Replicant and going to F-Droid and downloading them. That was the issue.
Okay, well, Strider, answer me this. Who's the target market for this product?
The target market is people who are really conscious about privacy, and I don't want to have
I mean, considering
things
using this, you're effectively air-gapping your mobile, so...
Yeah, that's about as safe as it
well,
gets.
you do have 3G, So I don't think, I mean, I'd have to check because the previous device that was targeted with like older version of replicant was the Samsung Galaxy S2, and now they're targeting the S3. So maybe they got Wi-Fi working. I mean, that's complicated. You have to basically reverse engineer all the hardware and build open source drivers for it. So that's a large amount of work.
Well, let's get off the topic of mobiles and talk mobiles.
And talk about some more mobiles, namely the Motorola modular implementation they call the Moto Z, which is an Android phone that supports DIY and Raspberry Pi hat add-ons.
Do they make an attachment where I can just like put a brick on the back of it? And
you could totally do that. Assuming you can now use Raspberry Pi attachments, you can literally do anything. But yeah, it's Motorola's vision of a modular
you
phone.
Can use the hat adapters, right on.
Yeah. And you can basically all you do is you pull out the back plate, you pull out the battery, and instead of the battery, you put a little PCB that allows you to connect all the modules, and one of the modules will hopefully have the battery, like that one you see there. And from there, you basically can add anything you want to your phone, like say a custom backplate that has a projector, or another custom backplate that has a real full-fledged camera that allows you to make awesome videos or take some pretty good-looking photos. You can do that. But the thing about modular phones, and I kind of get why they went with the unified look, is just you just replace the backplate, and you have a mostly...
That is some cheap 3D rendering right there, son.
Yeah. And if you, say, replace the backplate with another custom one, the phone still looks basically the same, and it's a uniform look. That's good if you were targeting a segment of the population which doesn't exactly need modular phones. They just need a phone that targets their specific use case. But if you absolutely must have a modular type device, chances are you're probably going to be changing it often, and pulling a backplate off of a phone whenever you decide to change something is just going to cause you to lose it or break it. It's happened to me multiple times. The uniformity, like I mentioned, the uniformity is great for those people. But those people, at that point, you only have to target their specific use case. They don't need a modular phone. They just want one that isn't currently available on the market. And they're probably better off just looking for one that is. No, I think they kind of missed the mark on this one.
No, I mean, things like this are definitely solutions just absolutely looking.
In search of a problem, yeah.
But yeah, anything that attaches to a mobile. Notice I'm not saying anything because like the Raspberry hat, all that's awesome, but an actual mobile is just dead on arrival. I mean, seriously, I'm going to give you free advice here from Linux Weekly Daily Wednesday. Pro tip, if you will. If anyone at the company meeting suggests add-ons for your mobile product, you know that comic where the last frame's throwing the guy out the window? Yep. Do that. Just a bad idea. It's not going to work. Tell me I'm wrong, Strider.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you you're wrong because I have a different opinion on that. I mean, I find the idea great, and it enables to do more stuff with phones. And the fact that it is modular does not mean that you will be opening your phone every day. I mean, my PC is modular, and that does not mean I open my case and switch PCI cards every day. No, I've done that once, and
oh no!
Basically,
Jordan's got it. That's the only reason you want it. You want a vape phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let's say I do want a vape phone. Well, I would get the vape extension, and then I would leave it here. I mean, I would not go and replace it.
Okay, so I think we found the one person for whose use case would fit such a phone. It's Strider.
The real example I can think when things really got genuinely out of control was the Game Boy. When it came to just
all the attachments,
because I had that like magnifying glass with the fold-out speakers with a battery
and the
pack.
LED lights,
right? And that stuff eventually was lost, broken. What it required extra batteries, did something to the battery life, and I'm horrified about having a Pico projector on a phone because you might be looking at something you probably don't want projected, like 4 meters.
It's a smartphone. You're probably going to be watching adult content on it.
Like our Saturday show, Linux Gamecast Weekly.
Yes, lots and lots of swearing.
If you're a kid, don't tell your parents to watch it. Okay, do us a favor. But let's close this out on a bit of a lighter note.
Yeah, I've come across this. So this is something that will not, well, for our audio listeners, they won't be able to see this, but it's a great artist who has painted all
Sylvia
the
Ritter
animals.
is her name.
Yeah, it's her name is Sylvia Ritter. She's from Germany, and she has done all the animals from the Ubuntu releases. And I find this, I mean, there's a lot of talents going on here. I mean, they're really well done. I like the style. There's not one missing, and they are all great. So I wanted just to give a shout out to this artist because she has done a really awesome job on
that
this.
Ibex, man, curb stomped the fog. I mean, the wolf did. That went down. Yeah, I mean, maybe you shouldn't give certain types of people acids. All I'm saying, Pedro.
Look, if you're gonna go on DeviantArt and look for Linux-related stuff, look up Lana Lu and try to find me in her gallery.
It is really horrifying. No, man. I mean, those are definitely some trippy posters. Neat. I mean, well done.
Yeah. And the format, you could use them as a background picture for your phone, I guess, because the format will fit well.
And, I was going to just cut this story, but it's so horrifying. And it's been a while since we've talked about grilled cheese. And,
Yeah, we haven't had any guests lately, so we haven't had the change.
I'm working on that. I'm working on that.
I didn't put it in. Hang on. Keep talking, Strider.
Yeah, we haven't had a guest for a while, and usually we have them tell us how they make grilled cheese sandwiches. So it's been a while. So I came up with a recipe on this.
Okay, I'm serious, man. If somebody's like, "Hey, man, you want a grilled cheese sandwich?" and I'm like, "Right," and they start pulling out stuff like, I'm just going to slap them and walk out of the house. All right, if they break out a cheese cutter, no, dude, really, come on, that is the most.
Big fan of the Iculus grilled cheese.
Pick their fixie up and throw it at him, Strider. That's what I'm going to do.
No, I mean, this one is quite good. I mean, the outside of the bread is butter with dried dill and dried basil. The inside is cheddar, tomatoes, and fresh basil. And I've tried it a couple of times, and I have to say it's quite good. So that's for the grilled cheese sandwich of the week.
That's not a grilled cheese sandwich. Just
it is.
That's lunch. That's basically lunch.
Strider, that is pretentiousness with bread wrapped around it.
It's still a grilled cheese sandwich. I mean, it's bread with cheese.
Okay, now I think we can get into the feedback because we do scream in your direction, but we also like it when you say, "Hey, you did something very wrong, and we need to explain to you exactly what you did wrong," because we actually like that because it helps us learn things.
Yes, we do, and we're often wrong. Every now and again, we speculate about some things, and we may or may not pass them off as facts, and we like when people call us out on, our bullcrap, as it were. But if you are one of those people, let's say you caught me saying, you caught
how
me
would they
talking
go about getting in touch with us?
Yeah, you caught me talking out of my ass, and you want to call me out on it. You go to linuxgamecast.com, you hit the contact button on the nav bar, and you fill out the form. It's pretty easy. Just make sure to pick LWDW, and we'll feature you on this feedback. If you have something to say about Linux Gamecast Weekly, just pick that from the little drop down. Or let's say you don't want to do that, you just want to leave a comment. Leave a comment on YouTube, leave a comment on Google+, leave a comment on Twitter, or even Facebook.
Google Wave.
We'll probably see that. Yeah. So,
Can you
week,
summarize this? Because this is like a wall of text.
Yes, I can. So last week we talked about Librem, the Purism laptops, which they claim on their website they have custom motherboards and they do everything like to be completely 100% free and open source software compatible. Now, Martin W. had some quarrels with it because apparently he's worked with the same original device manufacturer that Librem sources their laptops from, and those boards are not custom made. They're just the motherboards that come with that specific device manufacturer. That's it. And he goes off and he gives like a huge list of stuff that they say on their website, which is not entirely true, as it were. And I actually checked their blog. If you check their blog, a lot of what they say, they're still fighting to get the complete free and open source implementation for Intel processors. Because if you try to use a core boot laptop, like one of the old Idea pads, if you try to use one of those with just completely open source software, you are going to have performance issues because you just couldn't do it, because Intel still relies on a lot of the blobs that come with the Linux kernel, and even some blobs built into the chipset itself, especially on the newer models, which don't actually have an open source implementation yet. So basically what Martin said is that, and I have no reason to doubt him, is that what they say when they have the completely free, as it were, implementation is filth and lies. But something about it, there were a couple of issues here which still has the skeptic in me firing on all engines, and what we have at this point is like Martin and, to a lesser degree, the Linux Action Show and Linux Unplugged, and even a couple of Phoronix articles that Laravel didn't write. Everything else just word of mouth. So, yeah.
I don't know. Me just wants to play Flying Spaghetti Monsters Advocate and just stir stuff up. So keep that in mind, what I'm about to say, because what I really do want to see is, I mean, haven't they like sent out like review sample to people or persons somewhere and just take this thing apart, take some pictures and go there?
I sent them an email and they did not reply.
Well, did you start it like you normally start those emails? Konnichiwa, bitch.
No. I sent them an email and explained that some sources of ours had come up and said that basically what they were claiming wasn't exactly the whole truth. And I sent an email. Last week, I had actually sent an email to the other guys from the other store, which I can't remember the name of. The one with the blank about page. If you watch the show, you know which one I'm talking about. Those guys actually replied to my email and said that, hey, thanks for letting us know. It was just before the show, so I didn't include it in the notes. But they said, oh, thanks for letting us know about the About page. We were actually fixing that. So good on them for that. Purism, on the other hand, still hasn't replied to my email.
Yeah, and if you want to see something on the Purism guys, I think it was week before last or week on the Screensavers, which is apparently back again. They did like a 25-minute bit where they were just straight up as like everything that is custom made. And I mean, they did it. And I was like, okay. I just want to see. I've already made the popcorn, lads. I'm just let's just see how this pans out.
You have to realize that it is a Silicon Valley startup. It's not something that's coming from they are doing it for ideological purposes.
Are you saying they're not from the Shire?
No, they're not. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if a bunch of what they're doing is not there yet, and they are faking it.
That's what I want to ask you. Do you think they're being malicious about it?
No, I don't think they're being malicious.
Send your hate mail.
Then again, there's also the fact that some of the people who back their Indiegogo for the Librem still haven't gotten their rewards.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that they're
Carmageddon. So
just loves them.
They're faking some stuff. They're like sugarcoating stuff because it hasn't happened yet. They don't have the full products. They don't have the.
And yet they're selling 4 different products on their store for a 300% markup.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Because they want the money.
So,
Allegedly.
move on. I was so tempted to like blank out every fifth word in this just because of me. Dude, I know you're on G+, man. You post some cool stuff. I'm going to butcher your name.
Nehemiah.
Thank you. Totally. See, that I totally said that. It wasn't Pedro. What did he say, man? He was like, I was going to give you the benefit of the doubt. This was talking about the classification feature in LibreOffice, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the benefit of the doubt and believing that you may not have understood the benefit of a document classification feature if you've never worked in an office with a need for such feature. But then I went to the website and noticed there's a link, a big arse graphic, detailing the meaning of each classification, which explained that the banner isn't for people who aren't part of the organization. If you don't care that it's confidential, a banner won't stop you. If you do care, you'll take the great care that this document doesn't end up in the wrong hands. Make of that what you will. It's for businesses who don't have the luxury of having an air-gapped corporate network to trust confidential information. Okay. Thank you.
Well, that's just the...
You know, that was a explain like I'm then thing right there. It was like, oh, I understand that. So, yeah, well, you basically get the animate... I'm making a joke here. We don't need to... But well, you get a blinking animated GIF that says, don't send this to the wrong person. Huh?
Yeah, it's literally it. It's a big fat target that you're painting on top of a document saying, don't look at this, pretty please.
Hey, the CEO of a very large internet startup once said, if you have something that you don't want anyone to know, maybe you shouldn't be doing it in the first place. I like to throw that out, like out of context. That's... Okay. I think this is appropriate.
Thanks for the feedback, and Comrade Putin nods knowingly. Yeah.
Oh,
but I think that's going to do it for this episode. We shall return next week on Wednesday around 3 p.m.-ish Eastern. Take a look, and you'll find that. I've been Vin Stone here in Athens.
I am Pedro Mateos over here in Portugal.
And I am Mathieu Commandant here in Los Angeles.
Cheers.
Bye.